An uprooted tree shows small roots in various sizes hanging from the bottom.
Well, duh. You are just astonished by the dumbest things. I can't imagine where you're going to go with this, but I'm going to have to leave it here. Opening my mind so much is starting to make my brain leak out. Catch you in the next one, folks. We will beat this. I promise. I promise. I promise. I promise. God, I'm such an idiot. Come on then, crazy McCray-cray. Let us continue.
Stalactites and stalagmites are very similar to this.
No, they're not. The only vague similarity is that they dangle down a bit. But they are completely freaking different, you lunatic. Look, these are your own images, and they just aren't the same. See how the tree roots spread out in various directions, but the stalactites and stalagmites are pretty much straight lines. Do you not think that might speak to how they are formed very differently and for various reasons? So, presenting 6 terrible science, TM. I
got a bit, I'm hypothesic.
Yep, that just happened. I'm not sorry. Anyway, I'm sure I'll bugger up some of the finer details, but the following is still infinitely more accurate than Johnny McDunceCap here. Tree roots grow the way they do to draw out as much water and nutrition from around them as possible. They spread out in all directions and intertwine, eking out everything they can to grow as big and strong as possible. Stalactites and stalagmites are formed when minerals are deposited on a surface over huge spans of time, usually by dripping water. If you think about how when you have a leak, that water will form drips in very specific places on your ceiling. Well, with mineral-rich water, it will leave a small amount of material each time a drip forms and falls, over hundreds or thousands of years, as long as conditions remain right for them to form. So, no, not even vaguely the same thing. Otherwise, my dangly balls are the biggest stalactite/mountain tree roots in the whole goddamn world.
Again, keep in mind these trees were enormous and way sturdier, made of thicker material.
And with roots that for some reason can more logically be explained in their formation via other means. Just because what I'm telling you is illogical, bloody unlikely and frankly stupid, doesn't mean it didn't happen. The fact that it didn't happen is why it didn't happen. But we'll just keep that between us.
So somebody has harvested these minerals and crystals.
Who? Please, just tell me who, and be specific. Show me your evidence. Hell, just prove the crystals were ever in the caves that you claim to have been stripped.
Where petrified wood is, we see sand.
Yeah, look at all that grassy sand.
Petrified wood is made of precious gems and crystalline structures.
Actually, kinda correct. Shocking, I know. But do you know why that's what they are made from? It's not because they come from mountain trees. I want you to look up fossilization on Google. Your mind will be blown. If in fact you understand any of it, so probably not. But I'll be buggered if I'm going to explain another scientific fact to your illiterate arse.
When we compare this wood to the floors and sides of mountains, we see the similar gradient patterns.
Well, I don't see it personally, but let's just say you're right, and they looked really, really similar. So what? That doesn't prove anything. You have to do research and testing to prove these things are directly related, especially in the way you are inferring, and they aren't. Petrified wood was just normal wood that was fossilized. It didn't form like that because of magic nonsense science. And until you can demonstrate how it grew in that composition, all your ideas are just pseudoscience when stacked up against the already repeatedly proven testable reality.
Pieces of petrified wood are pieces of these ancient trees.
Yep, knew it. I swear to God, I don't watch these videos before I do this, most of the time anyway. Certainly didn't for this set, and yet I can predict exactly what kind of stupid things he's going to think half the time, by just putting myself in the mindset of a 3-year-old with several mental handicaps. That's also just snorted a bunch of bleach. Nah, that's unfair to the 3-year-old, to be honest.
In these inland areas with large amounts of sand and in deserts, there's no access to the ocean, so the sand isn't coming from there.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. How can one person know so little about how things in nature are formed? Seriously, where the hell were you educated? Because I want to beat these people all to death using a bucket of things that you don't know or understand. It'll be a very heavy bucket and a quick death, I'm sure. I kind of pity you at this point. It's incredible. Right, you seem to know that sand can be formed by bodies of water. Or probably something painfully stupid, but I'm not going to push that button. You seem to think the world used to be extremely different, a la world trees, etc. Then what's to stop oceans being in other places and being displaced over time, or sand moving from one place to another because wind is a thing? How can you not even come up with something that simple yourself? Or do things only happen if they run in line with your extremely fanciful version of the reals?
And what is this sand made of? Sand in inland areas are made of mostly silica and other materials, including forms of quartz.
I retract my sympathy because you are just being dishonest now. It's got nothing to do with inland areas and you know it. That's the most common composition of sand. All sands, regardless of where it is formed. And you know it because I know where you got that quote from, you lying little turd person. It's literally the first thing that comes up when you type "what is sand made from" into Google and makes absolutely no mention of inland sand. And it explains how sand is formed. I honestly thought you were just crazy, and I don't mind that. It's fun, and it's endearing almost. But when you start telling porcupines, well, that just boils my piss.
When a regular tree is cut down, dust flies.
Oh, come on. Please, don't do this. You are both dishonest and completely insane, aren't you? No, it's not sawdust. Sand is not sawdust. I know you are going to say it, and it's really caught me off guard, but it makes sense in the context of your particular delusion, I guess. I mean, I gotta give props, and everyone I have talked to about this video says it. What you're talking about sounds like a pretty cool fantasy setting. And it does. I also have to give props to how you can explain things into it this way. It's kind of clever. Is that even the right word? I mean, it's dumb, but at the same time, each thing does appear to support the others if you don't, have a grade school education.
It starts covering the ground. I think you know what I'm getting at.
Yes, and I think you know how stupid it sounds too.
Inland sand and deserts are not naturally forming, but were made from bits of silica and minerals that flew off of these organisms as they were cut down.
From the article that you quoted earlier, sand is a loose granular material blanketing the beaches, riverbeds and deserts of the world. Composed of different materials that vary depending on location, sand comes in an array of colours including white, black, green and even pink. The most common component of sand is silicon dioxide in the form of quartz. The Earth's land masses are made up of rocks and minerals, including quartz, feldspar and mica. Weathering processes such as wind, rain and freezing/thawing cycles break down these rocks and minerals into smaller grains. At no point is it mentioned that a bunch of dudes rolled up with the world's most hench chainsaw and made a mess the size of Africa. You think someone would have noticed.
As Vlad Hangen pointed out, some of the ancient Toltec pottery suggests that what's being depicted aren't merely crocodiles, but the quarry excavators used to get rid of these trees, that we still use to this day.
There's just so much. As I unravel each piece of this madness, so does my mind unravel furthermore. Once again, I have to stop because of the sheer brilliantly bonkersness of your ideas. In the making of this, I had to explain your line of reasoning to Mrs. Sick whilst writing, so I'm going to restate here for any Johnny-come-latelys. Right. You believe that mountains are the roots of giant trees that have been chopped down with excavators for some reason. Those trees were made of silica and that all cave systems are actually the root systems of those trees, emptied of the former silica roots, possibly by mining, especially those that don't have crystal formations. And that the scientific explanations for why none of these things are true is BS. Even though there is evidence for every one of them, and your evidence is things look a bit like other things and empty caves make you sad. And you aren't even done yet. Not even close. Woo, lad. See you next time, folks.